Okay. So it's going online now. I'm going to put that up there and then share it. I had to even turn the thing, okay? Turn the. So it's going online now.
Hello?
So. Welcome everybody to the Essence of Life, to our special edition Kickboxing. Before we start, I want to share a video with you, and because we have a kickboxing legend with us, so I want you to watch this video with us.
You have to share screen.
Yeah, I need to share screen. Give me a second here. And it has to, you have to use the other one. That one of them I turned. I don't forgot which one.
Like it, but he's got to mix it up a little bit more. Those are going to start to get really full ground. He needs to throw his hands first.
It has to ask right now about all the updates and so on, you know. Get a life. Okay.
What?
Yeah. So let's go from the start.
Like it, but he's got to mix it up a little bit more.
So that is Brian. Look at him. Seriously, it doesn't look much like you, but I guess that's the bite block, right?
Yes, and you don't ever want to get an Under Armour one that's black with yellow on the U's, because it makes it look like you have buck teeth.
Okay, but now this was how many years ago?
This was just about 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
You're a kickboxer.
Yes, this is at the Kansas Star Casino, just south of Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, for some reason it just didn't record everything, but so but I thought it's actually very interesting, because when you go there, you come all ripped, and they check you out. Tell me about the routine. Okay, 4 years ago, you were going there and you're fighting somebody. His name had the word lethal in it.
Yes, Lethal LaCane Williams was who I was fighting. He was probably 20 years younger than I was.
Okay.
I actually had to have 2 physicals because of my age. So it would have been 47 at the time.
Yeah, there was some concern about if you're going to make it through the fight or not.
Yeah, there was a comment by the commentators early on, just before the fight, saying I've been around since dirt.
Yeah, Brian Fleeman. I heard that. But I have been around since dirt.
Yep.
He didn't really record that part. I was hoping. I think he didn't record that part. But and he said something else too, that your last fight was
21 years ago. So
and this might have been your midlife crisis. Is
yes.
A Corvette or going back to the
yeah, he asked me a red Corvette or get back in the ring. So
and so you decided to go back to the ring.
Yep, I lost about 20 pounds. I was a little out of shape. I figured the best way to get back in shape is just to schedule a fight. Then you better get in shape, or you're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
So run me through that. When you went there, I saw that somebody just taking your shirt off. That was your son.
Mhm.
And then another person comes and you have to bring your arms up, and he goes and checks you things. What's that routine about?
Now they're just making sure you know there's nothing on you or in your gloves that will give you an unfair advantage.
Yeah, like a ball bearing in your glove.
That's right. Yeah, the roll of quarters, I think, was the thing back in the
Is
day.
that right?
Yeah.
So I'm not off. That
No,
people put metal in.
Yep. Give a little bit. Yep. Give you a little more weight.
But doesn't hurt you yourself if you have something.
I don't know. I've never done that.
It hurt the other person more.
Huh?
It hurt the other person more.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, and you told me few things that it's really was interesting. Like you told me that you on purpose you tried to hit somebody's shin with your shin.
Well, technically, when you're throwing a leg kick for Muay Thai, you're wanting to hit the outside of their thigh. But to block it, you raise your shin up and point it outwards so that their shin hits your shin, which actually makes them hurt worse than you.
Okay. Now, you see, I think I'm a very novice. I'm not sure if Misha knows about that. Run us about kickboxing. You said you have been doing it for many, many years.
Mhm.
So run us about the history of kickboxing, the rules of kickboxing, because I think that this is we see it, but we don't understand the background and the rules of it. Educate us a little.
And there's a little bit of difference. So people all know Chuck Norris. He was an American kickboxer, so their technique was a little bit different, less leg kicks. What I've done is Muay Thai. It's Thai boxing. It came out of Thailand, and they do low leg kicks, and that's where these come from, where you're trying to kick the person's legs. It can really slow someone down or actually put them completely out.
So in a regular boxing, it's just,
just
hands.
boxing gloves. That's
Just
correct.
hands.
Yep.
You don't touch them, you don't kick them, you just, and I know that in a regular boxing, there are lots of rules that, you are not supposed to hit them in the crotch, right?
Correct. That's same with Muay Thai.
Okay.
No crotch shots, no matter
No
what.
crotch shots?
No, not with
Everything else is allowed.
not with the knee, not with the legs, and that there can be some variations. So in this particular fight, we weren't allowed to throw elbows. And traditional Thai fighting, elbows are allowed.
So
which will cut somebody
they-
open and cause lots of damage.
elbow, hitting
Yeah.
people with the
Yep.
elbow anywhere.
Yep.
Now, in a Thai boxing, which I think is the most violent kind of sport, correct? Am I right to believe that the regular Thai box, from Thailand, is the most violent kind of sport? Because I think they're allowed to do most of the thing other sports are not allowed to do.
I suppose that's true. And then MMA, where it's a mixture of all the martial arts, where you have Muay Thai, boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and other
So
forms.
you do everything.
Yep.
Now, are you allowed to have a crotch
We
protector?
did have a cup on, yes.
Yes, you
Yes,
did have
yeah.
a, does that work?
It does, but it still hurts if you get hit there. It helps some, but it still hurts.
No, and since you started talking about Chuck Norris, let's talk about that. So he was American kickboxer.
Kickboxer. Mhm.
What is the difference? No, first, before we start, do you know any Chuck Norris jokes?
No, I do not.
I know this.
Yeah.
I know this.
What is that?
It's a meme where he thumbs up.
No, but there are lots of Chuck Norris jokes.
I don't
Like
know.
when Chuck Norris was born, he named his parent. Or Chuck Norris, mom has a tattoo says son. Or Chuck Norris doesn't do push-up, he does earth down. You guys have never heard any of that?
I've
Okay.
heard the earth down. Yeah,
Yeah, that is, no, but
he's a
so-
legend for sure.
So what is specific that separate American kickbox Chuck Norris is doing against
So American kickboxing, you're kicking more with your foot.
that's your arm?
And well, you still can punch with your arms, but you're kicking with your foot, and you're mostly kicking, above the waist, head or abdomen. There's no leg kicks in the American kickboxing, so that's the biggest difference. I think.
Head,
Yep, head's allowed.
head is fair game.
Yep, head's fair game.
You know how it makes me feel as a neurosurgeon, right?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to drum up business for you, I guess.
Yeah. No, tell me, you do you knock people out for work and for hobby. Tell me about that.
Yep, I've done anesthesia for the last 20 years, so I very gently knock people out with medication.
And if the medication is not enough,
Then,
You
then,
use other
then I
tools.
go through the Muay Thai. I get the
Yeah.
backup. So yeah.
so but you do have been doing kickboxing for 20 years as your hobby. How did you get into that? At what point in your life did you think, oh, it's fun, let's go throw some punch against people's heads and the ribs and
That
stuff?
is a good question. I wrestled in high school. Then I did
What kind of wrestle, by the way?
for high school wrestling.
Oh, okay. I mean, freestyle, Roma, or
Freestyle, yeah.
freestyle.
Then did some taekwondo somewhere in around there, did some karate. Then I found instructor for the Muay Thai kickboxing, and it just
What is more Thai kickboxing?
that's the Thai boxing that we've been talking about.
Okay. That is the
with
the-
kicking with your shins, low leg kicks, elbows.
elbows even.
Yep,
So the only thing is not allowed crutch.
pretty much.
Okay.
No biting either. Can't pull a Mike Tyson and bite someone's ear
No,
off.
no.
No, not allowed.
What about like hugging somebody and wrestling?
It depends on the, you can do trips and other things with Muay Thai where you're grabbing them. And also when you're in they call it a clinch. That's when you throw elbows and you can throw knees. You can actually grab someone's head and pull it down to your knee. Not in the fight that we were watching. There's different rules for that one. There's different for amateur and professional sometimes too.
And as a neurosurgeon, why?
Well, as a neurosurgeon, I think you should figure that out. Why we're all wired differently. I don't know.
So, Misha, have you done any martial art or anything like that?
Yeah, in fact, when I was 13 in middle school, I did some kind of like freestyle boxing, but
So get closer.
it was more of a like thinking back on that. I think my PE teacher might be very weird. He and his weird friend has like this underground kid boxing
Wow.
league, and I was part of it. And I especially like echo with someone putting someone's head and bumping to my knees because I'd done that before and break someone's nose, to the point that I was actually discouraged from the game because my PE teacher say other people are there to play a game, you're there to kill someone. So you're not allowed.
He's your peer.
So we'll give an example here soon of a little fight.
Yeah,
style
yeah,
differences.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But no, you told me as well few things that when you get kicked in the face, that doesn't bother you much.
Yeah, getting punched and kicked in the face for whatever reasons, it makes me giggle.
And you showed me something that when you get punched in the face, you just smile and walk away or something.
Yep.
And then they say something that is Fleeman's smile or something. What
Yeah.
did they say?
They're basically said, "Oh, there's Fleeman. He's giggling. You just got hit."
No, it is actually very interesting that everything in our body is sensory. A pain is just a sensory signal that something is happening, like the way something is hot, something is cold, something is sharp, something, we have different sensory, and pain is nothing but sensory. Our emotional reaction to pain makes the pain what it is. And I'm sure you have heard about this the sadist and masochist thing and so on, where they perceive pain as actually pleasure.
Mhm.
And we know that, that's something that should be common knowledge, that there are lots of sexual kink that people induce pain for pleasure. Now, I'm not saying that kickboxing is anything sexual and so on, but it can make sense that when you get into the right mindset, that not only that, that the kicking in the sensory pain, your indifference to that, but actually it gives you an adrenaline rush.
Yes.
So it is not that off, base to say that intellectually I understand that, but still, it's an achievement, getting punched in the face and walking away with a smile. Yeah, I got punched in
You
the
do
face.
something long enough, you can pretty much get used to anything, right?
And then you blamed it on your Irish heritage.
I believe that has something to do with it.
So tell me about your Irish heritage.
Well,
What makes Irish heritage that you love punches and so on?
I think that's just something that's always been out there about the Irish. I'm not 100% Irish. I'm a mutt. I've got a little bit of Irish, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And the day of the fights, usually you don't hurt at all that day. It's the following day and the next 3 days after the fight that
What does it hurt the next day and following day?
all the places you got hit, kicked, and kneed.
Okay, so let's say obviously you just don't go there and start fighting. There's when you start fighting. So we talked a little about the rules. What does it take to take a high school person? You start in high school, I'm assuming, right?
Mhm.
Or short after. What does it take to make a high school person to go and in the cage? And that was in a casino. That's what we watched.
Mhm.
And is it fair to say that's a semi-professional kind of kickboxing?
Yeah, and there's professional fights there as well. It was a pretty large venue.
Okay, so
there.
were you playing in the professional or semi-professional?
I was still amateur because I was kind of a journeyman where I do it for a couple of years and then take 3 years off, then come back in, do it for a couple of years, take some time off. So
what does it take to do that? To go from a high school, no experience there, time-wise, training-wise, what does it take to do that?
I think the number one thing, you have to have passion for the sport. If you don't have passion for the sport, you're not going to put the time and effort into the training, the skills that you need and the cardio that you're going to need to
Cardio.
yeah, absolutely cardio. Probably actually the best shape I was ever in was at 47 training for that fight because I knew I was going to be much older than this guy. I did not want to get
all
gassed.
that dirt.
Yeah, all this dirt. All this dirt. I got to get the cardio in. So
Yeah.
I was doing 30 miles a week of road work, which is running and doing sprint work and interval training, in addition to weightlifting and sparring and getting ready for the fight.
So lots of cardio. What else? I mean, you have to prepare your strength in certain muscle group and so on. Run us through exactly what you did to prepare for this.
So again, outside the road worked with my kickboxing instructor. We would go through drills, do a lot of sparring. I mean, if you're getting ready for a fight, you do a lot of sparring. Is when you're in the gym with your own people and they're helping you train. So they're going after you to punch you, kick you, and everything else.
They just
And you're going
gag
through,
up on you and beat you up.
yes. So and they're lining up. And
Right.
sometimes you get, we even did it. This not the new guy, but the guy I used to train with. They create a giant circle and they put you in the middle of it.
And that's just
And they
thank you.
would call out a number, and each person had a number, and they would come attack you, and you never knew where it was coming from. So
Wow.
and sometimes they call two numbers, and the two guys would come after you.
So, and you just have to, make your body get used to punches and kicks and so on.
That's right. David Cummings, he was a professional and world kickboxing champion. He was one of my early instructors, and we used to have to lay on the ground, and he would come by with, it wasn't a bat, but a large stick, and he would hit us in the belly. And then he'd take medicine balls and throw those down. We call those the big heavy
Okay.
ball that's used for training. Throw those at our abs, and we used to call them Mr. Nasties because you just keep doing it and keep doing it. And there's a competition to see who could last the longest. So just conditioning and training your body to be able to take some of that abuse.
Yeah. And that's almost sounds like a Navy SEAL training to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just taking the torture to get used to it.
Yeah.
Because when you have to go through it, your body has to say, okay, it's another day.
Yep.
Any serious injury?
Never any serious broken ribs, which
But-
didn't even happen in a fight. That actually happened in our own gym and with sparring. But nothing, broken nose, no serious injuries.
I'm surprised though. Is it like a rule of conduct that, you hit them, but you don't hit them hard enough to break something because no, not really.
No, most of the time you're trying to
You're really trying
you're
to.
trying to put them out. So, and they're trying to put you out. So
Yeah. So, how is it decided who wins a fight like that?
well, either there's the referee stops because of the person can't protect themselves anymore, or you knock them out.
Knock them out, meaning they're out of it.
They're out of it
Unconscious.
completely. Yep.
Oh,
You,
So
you know,
they can no longer fight. There's been instances where some people basically they waved the white flag, said, I'm done.
Oh,
I'm getting
okay.
beat up too much. Someone in your corner can throw in a towel and get you out of there if you're too stubborn to tap out when you're supposed to
That's
or
right.
should. Or it goes to a judge's decision, and then the judges get to score the fight.
But so there are some people who can, beside the fighters themselves, who can end the fight. If they
Yeah,
if
yeah.
they see that
Someone in your corner, your coach, or one of your trainers can end the fight if you're.
and it's physically throwing a towel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's the expression comes.
throwing
the
the towel.
towel.
Yep.
Obviously, your coach is very interested in your well-being. What are the rules, or what are the things, that when does a coach decide, okay, this is enough? What
I
do
think
they
that's-
observe? Because I'm a neurosurgeon, I'm trained to understand what the extent of a damage of a person. I can't tell you a few things, but I want you from you.
Well, that I think very much depends on the coach and on the fighter. You've seen Rocky, right?
Oh,
Where
yeah,
they're,
yeah.
Cut me, Mickey, cut me.
Does
Mickey wanted to stop the fight with Rocky, and Rocky refused. He couldn't see out of the eye, cut his eye open so he could see and finish the fight. So may not be the smartest thing to do, but that's just that some fighters have that mentality.
Yeah,
You
what
do
does
not
that
stop.
cut me? What does cut?
His eye was swollen shut. He couldn't see out of it. So Mickey had to cut his eye so he could open his eye to see out of his eye. He had to actually cut it back open so he could
Has
see.
been a long
To
time. ago.
continue, he wanted to continue to fight.
Cut the eye so he can.
The eyelid, yeah. There's so much blood and swelling. It had giant
Oh, so you
hematoma.
want to
Release the blood in the hematoma so he could
Oh my
open his
God.
eye to see to continue fighting.
Okay.
So it's really about fighter mentality, and we can be kind of stubborn sometimes. So
Yeah. So, no, you said people get knocked out. How often are they transferred to a hospital after somebody's knocked out? Meaning, they're unconscious, I'm assuming, right?
yeah, in all the fights I've been to, when people, I have seen people's in Muay Thai especially that have had femur fractures, open femur fractures from
Open femur fracture.
from getting kicked in the leg, which is they went to the hospital. But sometimes when someone gets knocked out, in fact, the fight right before mine that we watched a little bit of, 18-year-old, he threw a leg kick, someone caught that right cross. He went down on the canvas and he was in a seizure, and he was out. But probably an hour later, I saw him up in the stands, so he didn't go to the hospital.
Yeah, well, that in my profession requires a night in the ICU
For observation.
for observation, and just make sure and often that's something we see in my profession. Obviously, in my profession, we see all those people at the worst thing. By the time they come to us, and I'm sure you have heard about the so-called cranial epidural hematoma, right? Where you get a hit, you start the bleeding, the hit himself put you out and maybe cause seizure or not. Then they have a lucid episode, but then the blood accumulates in the epidural space causing pressure. And then so they're knocked out, they're lucid, 2 hours later, they're dead. And so that person need a head CT and a night of ICU.
I'm sure they did
observation.
15-minute neuro checks the rest of the night. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Now, what is the reward of doing this? Obviously you get in shape and you get the adrenaline rush. And like people do a lot of adrenaline rush, like parachuting, skydiving, free climbing. So I'm sure there are more dangerous games out
Sure.
there than that. But
For me, just speaking for myself, I think it's just the pushing yourself to the absolute limits, both physically and mentally, because when you step in the ring with somebody and they're wanting to kill you and you're trying to keep from getting killed, there's something to that.
is it really that? I know in the heat of the moment when you get there, is that really that?
Well, killing is probably too strong, but they're trying to knock you out. They're trying to knock them out. So there's a very strong mental component to that. In fact, probably even more than physical, that you've got to be mentally prepared and push yourself to those limits.
But what I'm amazed of that, at the end of the day, I saw that you guys were kicking and so on, and he was, he was trying to get you down, and then you separated, you were laughing, and then you went and did a fist bump or some friendly gesture and so on. How do you get from being beaten so bad and not having animosity toward the other one?
You're both there for the same goal. You both love the sport. And after the fight, we were hugging each other and saying good job, and I gave him some
Good
pointers.
job beating me up.
Yeah, I gave him some pointers on how he could have beat me up a little bit better. So next time he fights, I actually wanted to do a rematch. My wife said no. You're good.
So tell me, what was your wife's idea about all of it, or your family? How did your family receive?
All my family was there. In fact, I rented a party bus for 50 people to go from Hutchinson, Kansas to Derby, Kansas. So it was about a little over an hour away because I knew they'd want to drink at the casino and be able to get back safely. And my wife's seen me fight before, but she was not as uptight as this one as some of the ones previously. And I think
No, I think after a certain amount of marriage, she might be actually be happy you be getting beaten up.
that could be. We'll have to ask her that.
But you told me that she said you should not continue that. Tell me about it.
Well, I am getting older. I have 5 kids, grandsons, a lot of family, but I also own and operate an anesthesia group and have people that rely on me too. So she's like, yeah, you should just be done with
Much
that.
responsibility. Yeah? So what is the replacement of 800 horsepower Mercedes?
That is what I'm driving this weekend.
Yeah.
Which is an adrenaline rush too.
Yeah, but we drove a little together, and you just give it a small little acceleration there. I got dizzy for a second.
Yeah, it's like a strong jab.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll put you back in your seat.
yeah, it does. So you're still seeking your adrenaline, just in a different, more without the danger to getting knocked out and
Well, I have three boys that are all bigger than me, and they do martial arts and jujitsu and kickboxing. So
to go home and do wrestling with them and so on?
yes, I think they're getting close to being able to beat me now, which is kind of.
Is that right? Yeah. No, I have my son and we have a hand-arm wrestling thing. I still beat him, but they're getting as well close to beat me. It's just a moment that it's just, oh, okay. It is what it is now.
I'm a little more stubborn than them though, so I would outlast them until I win.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yet.
Yeah.
So what's in the future after kickboxing?
all my boys do. They all three go to jiu-jitsu
Mhm.
gym down in Hutchinson, Kansas, and I'll probably start going with them and training again with
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah, well, no, I tell lots of my patients, sport is obviously an absolute necessary part of life. I mean, you just build condition and so on. And as well, you need especially the cardio part, your heart need to get at its maximum performance for it to get better. And, but, obviously the aging is a fact of life. And I tell to my patient that, have a lots of different hobbies. So if you lose ability to do 2 of them, you have 3 more still to
Mhm.
do. So anything else besides the martial arts and so on that would be of interest to you?
yeah.
Maybe training
The
others?
I don't know
Weightlifting.
if I really want to train others. The only time my brain stops working and I can actually relax, the only way I can truly relax, is if I go to the gym and go so hard for 2 hours that I'm so exhausted. That's the only time I can actually relax.
Yeah.
Sitting in a pool or golfing, that's not relaxing to me.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that. What do you think? What do you think?
I do weightlifting and I do bouldering these days.
What's
I-
bouldering?
Rock climbing.
Oh, okay.
So I think in bouldering and rock climbing that you're so tired, but you're so intense that you forget the soreness of your muscle. And when you feel sore when you get down there. So also I really like the point that you relax in the gym. I do that too. I do really heavy weight training and I just stop thinking about anything
Mm.
after that.
Yeah.
How much do you bench press?
I do not know.
Yeah?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I do some weight training, but I've never really done it for, just to see the max I could press. My 14-year-old, he's very into weightlifting now, and he does several tournaments and actually has the Kansas state record for his age and weight group and bench press, deadlift, and squats.
Wow.
And he's 6'1" and 14.
Wow.
He can't beat me yet.
14.
He can't, but the other two boys,
Yeah.
the older brothers,
They
they're getting close to being
Yeah.
able to beat me.
Well, obviously coming back to that you build your cardiovascular system and those peak moments you perform that actually determines how far your body can go. And surprisingly, those peak moments that you build, they don't have to be long. Like, you get your heart rate just for a few minutes to whatever it is. I think it's 150, 160.
Huh.
And
That's pretty low.
Huh?
160 is pretty low, right?
No, I think that
It's
is.
not. It's
160 is pretty high.
It's
Yeah,
not extreme.
it depends
Well,
on. It
Do you,
depends on
do you-
your age
are you
and
trying
health.
to die or are you trying to
Depends
build
on your-
cardiovascular
No, when I
substance?
there was a time like 2 years ago, I trained for like marathon, and my heart rate is like constantly 170, 185.
What's
Okay.
your resting heart rate?
I don't know
Uh-huh.
at this point. I don't know.
No, but yeah, what comes to the training is, obviously, endurance is a big part of it. That is a different thing. But if you're trying to build capacity, maximum strength, these short intervals to bring your muscles, bring your cardiac thing to the maximum. You don't need to do 2 hours of training. It's enough to do few minutes, few times a week to bring your body to its maximum. And your body thinks, okay, this is the maximum I have to perform. And this has been well researched actually. Now, you told me that you didn't have any major injury. from the except the rib fracture and so on. But we have seen a lot of this long-term effect of martial arts, especially boxing. With boxing, it is well, and with football as well. It is well researched. This continuous injury to especially some areas of the brain, like Parkinson, related to the boxing, like Muhammad Ali, and football. There's actually good movies been made with Will Smith, I believe, about this effect of football, long-term football, all this continuous injury. Anything you are aware of about this in the martial art, kickboxing, and so on? Are you aware of anything in that?
I'm sorry, what were we talking about?
You talk-
No, I'm just kidding.
You got me. You got me right there. Are you aware of anything long effect of this in your kickboxing thing, or is it not well researched yet?
Not that I don't know.
Okay, but just to be clear, they are well researched in regular boxing
Oh, yeah,
and in football. There are, as a matter of fact, the idea was that there are lots of
Concussions.
well, these are repetitive concussions that cause neurons to die at a higher rate. And then when you, in certain area, the neurons die at higher rate, they cause like early onset of dementia, Parkinson, ataxia, and other neurological symptoms that is specifically related to this repetitive, head injury. And it was a big deal because the professional, sport groups, or whatever you call them, societies and so on, they vehemently denied that for many, many years until it was really proven there is a causation here from one to another. And those things that are researched are for regular boxing and for football. And that is why we have a lots of rules now in football, in this high school football. I'm sure you're familiar with high school football rules, right? That you have to sit out and you have to do this and that and so on. None of that existed until this causation was shown. I believe it was shown about 30 years ago, 30 to, about that time frame. Well, I learned a lot today. And I did myself in my time Kung Fu, but that was more, it wasn't really more about fighting than it was about really training. It was, as a matter of fact, it was, that was a Chinese Kung Fu. It was a code of conduct, you don't get into a fight, but you're prepared to do that. Like it wasn't about really the fight, but the training, like endurance, strength, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But I had the feeling that I'm doing this. I need to get into a fight. I need to fight. Is that the feeling as well? You sometimes have that. I'm training. I need to fight. I need to be in actual fight.
I think more of doing that is just because, in the gym, you do a lot of sparring, but all those guys. It's just really hitting your skill set against another's in a one-on-one situation. There's just something about that too. That's kind of the pinnacle of your training. It's like getting certified for anything, right?
Yeah.
You do all this training, but once you get certified, it's like your stamp of,
I want to do it now.
Yeah.
Well, that was great. We have 10 minutes before we start our now the medical symposium. But thank you very much for joining us. We have our special guest, Brian. Introduce yourself.
Brian Fleeman from Hutchinson, Kansas.
And we have our guest here, not guest, a host here.
I'm Misha
And
from Inspire Spine.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. Thank you very much for joining us. I wish we could have shown the.
Yeah, I don't know what.
How do you recover from a rib